into 5-paragraph essays, the third part of our 3-part writing series. Many students are expected to write 5-paragraph essays, but unfortunately are not quite sure how to take those ideas that they have and organize them into a well-written 5-paragraph essay. In this book, we focus on teaching students how to brainstorm, write, and self-check 5-paragraph essays. At the start of the book, we begin by teaching students that every time we write, there are 3 steps that we follow. First we brainstorm, then we write, and then we go back and self-check our work. Let's take a look inside the book. On page 1, we'll see that the point I just mentioned is emphasized. Every time students write, first they should brainstorm, then write, and then go back and self-check our work. Now we ask, well, what is a 5-paragraph essay? A 5-paragraph essay is made of 5 paragraphs. We have an introduction paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and our conclusion paragraph. Many students often have difficulties with the introduction paragraph. How do I get started? How do I write a thesis statement? In this book, we happen to spend a good amount of time on that introduction paragraph to help students become more comfortable and confident in writing this paragraph. An introduction paragraph is made of 3 parts: the opening, the lead-in, and the thesis statement. In the book, we go into each of those individual parts. Section 1A is a great resource page for students. 5 different options for how I can begin writing. Rather than always starting in the same way, students can start with a question, like, have you ever climbed a mountain? A general statement, like wearing a seatbelt can help protect your life. A quotation, a wise man once said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. An opposite statement, many people believe that all healthy foods are healthy. Or a story. For instance, it was close to dusk and I was in the mood to go on a hike. Nobody was home at the time, so I decided to hike on the trail behind our house by myself. Leaving quickly, I forgot to grab a flashlight or my own whistle. After hiking for about an hour, it became very dark. Suddenly, before my eyes, I saw a bear standing in front of me. For exercise 1, someone decided to write 10 different essays. Which choice did they choose to start? Well, let's look at question 1. Have you ever wanted to grow crystals? Here the student decided that that person started with a question. So the student would write in question. Number 2, quote, it takes one to know one. That, of course, is a quote. So the student would write quote. And we'll do one more together. Getting into college can be a long, arduous process. That is a general statement. So the student would write in general statement in the space provided. Next, we practice starting to write different essays. For instance, let's say the topic is smoking. Well, let's practice starting that essay in several different ways. Let's start it with a question. For instance, did you know that smoking can cause severe health problems? Let's start it with a general statement. Smoking can be deadly. A quotation. The Surgeon General says smoking can be harmful to your health. An opposite statement. Some people think there is no harm in smoking. Or a story. John thought he would have perfect health forever. He was young, fit, and ate only whole foods. Despite his mostly healthy lifestyle, John was a smoker. One day, in his late 40s, he went to his doctor and was told that he had lung cancer. The student is then given different topics and is asked to practice writing essays in several different ways using those topics. Next, we jump to the thesis statement. The thesis statement is always the last sentence of the introduction paragraph. It is made of 2 parts, the opinion and the plan. For example, snowboarding is a great sport because it is fun, social, and athletic. The opinion here is snowboarding is a great sport. Notice we don't say I think or I feel or in this essay I will prove. It is very bold and very confident. Then we have the plan because it is fun, social, and athletic. The plan sets the stage for what each of the body paragraphs will be about. For this exercise, the student will highlight the opinion in one color and the plan in a second color, just like the student did here. For exercise 2, students are asked to match opinions from the left side with the corresponding plan on the right side. For example, the opinion here might be apples are the best type of fruit because, and the plan, they are sweet, tasty, and they keep the doctor away. For the next exercise, students are given different topics. They're asked to write their opinion, their plan, and then combine it to form a thesis statement. Let's look at the sample here that the student did. The opinion that the student wrote is people should avoid junk food. The plan, because it has few vitamins and minerals, can make you gain weight and can cause health problems. And then the thesis statement, people should avoid junk food because it has few vitamins and minerals, can make you gain weight, and can cause health problems. In section 1C, we're putting it all together. If you see here, we have an inverted triangle. We start with the opening, which we've learned. We end with the thesis statement, which we've also learned. Now, those 3 to 6 sentences that lead up to the thesis statement are called the lead-in. The way we teach the lead-in is by looking at models of well-written introduction paragraphs. Let's take a look at exercise 1. In this case, the student is given various introduction paragraphs and is asked to highlight the opening in one color, the lead-in in a second color, and the thesis statement in a third color. A student did one sample here using 3 different colored highlighters. Next, in exercise 2, the student is given various topics and is asked to write their own introduction paragraphs. Students are first asked to write them piecemeal by separating them into the opening, lead-in, and thesis statement. Later in the exercise, the student writes more fluid introduction paragraphs, still including those 3 parts, but without separating them. Next, let's move back to our big philosophy, which is that every time we write, first we brainstorm, then we write, and then we go back and self-check our work. How do I brainstorm for a 5-paragraph essay? Let's look at a sample together. This is what a sample brainstorm web might look like for a 5-paragraph essay. We should write out our opening, write in our thesis statement, write in our 3 body paragraph points, and then branch out with supporting points supporting each one of those body paragraphs. The student is given ample practice brainstorming for different essays. Then we introduce self-checking. When we self-check our work for 5-paragraph essays, we use the checklist CTOPS, which stands for capitalization, meaning did we capitalize everything that should have been capitalized? T is for tense. Did we use a consistent past or present tense? O is for organization. Did we include an opening, a thesis statement, well-written body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph? Punctuation. Did we make sure to include all proper punctuation? And spelling. That's where we correct for any spelling errors. The student is then given practice with self-checking. He or she looks at various passages and is asked to self-check for different elements that are part of CTOPS. In the second half of the book, section 3, students are given practice applying all of the skills that they've learned so far. They are given practice brainstorming, writing, and self-checking 4 different types of essays: example, process, reason, and compare-contrast. They start with the example essay. Example essays gives examples, such as wars, U.S. presidents, types of cells, and kinds of books. The student is given a model of a well-written example essay, and then is given ample practice brainstorming, writing, and self-checking different example essays using various topics, such as types of books, outdoor games, and meals you can eat for dinner. Next, we move into the second essay type, which are process essays. Process essays explain the steps involved in a process. For instance, some topics might include how to make lemonade, how to prepare for a snowstorm, or how to change a flat tire. The student comes up with some sample topics and then is given ample practice brainstorming, writing, and self-checking different process topics. The same is true for the reason essay and the compare-contrast essay. The student is given topics, comes up with some of his or her own topics, and then has practice brainstorming, writing, and self-checking different paragraph types. The theme, of course, is to constantly brainstorm, write, and self-check. The more the student practices applying these strategies, the easier they will become, and the more their overall writing skills will continue to improve.